Who's the furthest? Like, from...
Distance-wise?
Yeah.
Well,
Who's the furthest from whom? I think John from Aaron?
Yeah, probably.
Probably.
Claps
I
travel
think
slower
someone-
in Delaware.
Yeah, that's what I was
It's got to
thinking.
go
like,
uphill
it
from here
says-
to you guys.
I was going to say furthest as in, like, I'm the furthest in time.
Whoa, man, slow down.
No, that's Aaron.
I can't.
East
Right.
to west,
Yeah.
Brady is the farthest east.
Yeah, Brady would be.
Yeah.
But we're the farthest west, so.
Are we talking about a round globe or a flat?
Flat Earth all the
Earth.
way.
Okay.
Either way.
Obviously.
I don't know. That round stuff is kind
So-
of nuts.
On a flat Earth, the time zones are like completely made up then, right? Like it's the same time everywhere? Isn't that how that should work? If it's just one big flat.
I mean, the sun still has to go right to left, Aaron. And then it's like Pac-Man. It just comes back on the other side.
It goes out. It warps. It does the warp tunnel.
How does that work in the
Warp
crazy
tunnel.
theory?
Warp tunnel. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, of
Pac-
course.
Warp tunnel.
Pac-Man style. It just
Pac-Man.
appears on the other side.
Uh-huh.
So it goes from completely dark to immediately bright. If you're the farthest east on the flat
course.
Earth.
Of course.
We're flying along, cherries pop up and little fruits. You get those for extra points. And once you get all the dots, you can land.
Welcome everyone to the Bottled Fuchsiacast number 43. We are Bottled Fuchsia. You can find all of our content at bottledfuchsia.com. We do some streaming sometimes at twitch.tv/bottledfuchsia and mixer.com/bottledfuchsia. Videos and archives of the streams at youtube.com/bottledfuchsia, Facebook and Twitter at bottledfuchsia. That's a lot of Bottled Fuchsia. And I guess tonight we're the flat Earth experts, right?
Clearly.
Yes. On the Bottled Fuchsiacast tonight, we have Kay,
Hello.
Aaron,
Hey.
Nanners,
Hi.
Brady,
Hello.
and I am John. So hopefully everyone listened to our very helpful answers podcast,
Yeah.
where we answered all of life's important questions.
Well, it was good after 41 podcasts to finally let people ask us, like, who the hell are you?
Yeah.
And where did you come from?
I don't think we answered any of those sort of questions, though.
Yeah,
so.
Nobody-
True.
Nobody asked. They just know. Kay, I will start with you. It's been a month since we talked about games.
Yeah.
What have you been
This is true.
playing?
So I mostly have been playing the Crash Bandicoot remaster, the Insane Trilogy.
Yep.
I'm pausing because I don't really remember the name. Just like the new Crash
That's it.
Bandicoots
It's
that
the
they
Insane
remastered.
Yeah,
Pretty sure
it
it's
was
Insane
like
Trilogy.
N-Sane
Yeah. Okay.
trilogy.
Because as the legend goes, I had an Atari as a child. I skipped a whole lot of generations of consoles and moved right into a PlayStation. So the Crash Bandicoot games are, other than the Wolfenstein games, are probably like what is closest to me in terms of like childhood nostalgia, like things I played a lot as a kid. But
Mascot platformer.
yeah. But I was 13. So it wasn't like a young kid, but whatever. And the games, the new Crash Bandicoots look very, very pretty. I didn't realize it was such a remaster. Like, I thought it was just going to be sort of like a collection and a re-release, but like they redid everything, like the textures and the art, all redone. The one really nice thing in Crash Bandicoot 1, which I probably played the least of, is that in the original game, you could only save like after, kind of at random points, like after beating so many levels or something, you couldn't just save anytime. And they changed that now. So it automatically saves after you beat a level, which is like a godsend, because like I remember playing some things like forever and ever and ever, and then you'd get to like the next level, and the next level would be a bitch, and there was no way to skip, a level or something. Games are they're not easy. Like, I think we've talked on the podcast before about like we all just had so much more patience as a kid, or just really didn't have any other games, and we're like, well, this is fine. I will play my one game over and over again, and it doesn't matter that I died 50 times because this is my one game. And yeah.
Well, that's the controversy with this re-release, is that everybody's saying it's harder than the original games were, and it had something to do with the way they rebuilt it. I guess the collision detection's a little different now, a little more precise, I guess. That made it harder. Is that not something you're noticing?
I don't know, maybe. I mean, I don't remember being like super good at the games. I remember like the old games being fairly challenging for me. I don't know what that says about me as a gamer, that the Crash Bandicoot games are really challenging, but like
You were 13.
yeah,
so
like
okay.
I don't remember them being like a cakewalk, but I remember them being like a fun challenge, and having to try certain things like again and again. But I definitely have died very often in these, and I went on and played 2 and 3, and I kind of thought that I've just like have been getting lazy in a way with like my gaming. Like you kind of get used to a certain level of game where like you kind of know like how far you can jump or something, and then you switch to a different game and the mechanics are just that little bit of different.
Yep.
Or you play, like, I know Crash Bandicoot 3, I think the other ones do as well. You get power-ups as you progress through the game, like you get a double jump or something. And so I kind of remember playing through a lot of the game with double jump, and I have a reflex to like hit the button twice to double jump, and I don't have that ability yet. And so like the first couple beginning games sort of suck because I just don't have that skill.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like there are a lot of games like that tempt you into doing something, and you'll spend like 2 hours doing that, when if you just waited until end game and be like, oh, I could just walk up and get this.
Yeah.
Like easily.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I see it. I need it right now.
Yeah, like I need to collect all the boxes in my first run through, and it's not. It should just run through, complete the levels, get the upgrades, come back, and then try for like the bonus, collect all the things.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember reading that people thought this game was harder because the jumping was slightly off from what like they remembered.
That's like a weird thing, like from what you remembered. So if I played this game when I'm 13 and I'm something now, like this game came out, what, 20 years ago? Like, I don't...
Well, clearly now you need to go get the original and play that and compare the two directly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least
On
to see if
an
the jump is
original
different.
Nintendo and get your CRT TV out.
Not a
I've got
Nintendo,
one of those.
PlayStation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a PlayStation.
Yep.
One of the like the little loading screen things said like, go old school, use the directional buttons. I was like, oh god,
No.
yeah, like.
Oh, I still do that in modern games. Wherever I can get away with the D-pad, I'll still do that.
Really?
Most 2D games I play with the D-pad.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, but that's like a 3D platformer.
Yeah, I would use the analog stick for that.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. think I made it through all of PS1 without an analog controller.
Really?
Oh my
So no
God.
Ape Escape
That's
for you?
Yeah, I think so. I think I had like 2 normal controllers and like 2 Nyko controllers or something, and none of them had the analog sticks.
Impressive.
Yeah.
Not really.
Kind of.
I think
Well, no, by the end of that generation, I thought most things were trying to use it.
Yeah, you didn't have
Yeah.
to, though.
I think I just managed to get games that didn't need it, I guess. So, What about you, Aaron? What have you been up to?
Yeah, it's been a while since we've done this part of the podcast. Splatoon 2, I get a couple of rounds in, usually every night before bed. Been playing PUBG with you guys a little bit. That's always fun. Sonic Mania is fantastic. The game I'm going to deep dive on is a game called Localhost, which I believe it was either Kotaku or Polygon. I can never remember which. They ran a feature on it, and it's an indie game. It's actually, I guess, over on itch.io. Basically, your role in it, it's just basically clicking through dialogue selections the entire time. But the premise is your job is to wipe hard drives that were used in artificial intelligence, like helper robots. And the only screen you have is just like a workbench where there's like this kind of half dismantled AI robot, and you're clicking through drives to load them in, and as you load them in, like the AIs on there are talking to you, and you're talking back to them, and it's a really interesting setup and premise. As soon as you start talking to one, like they realize that they're not in the correct body or piece of network gear where they're supposed to be. They start asking you, or rather talking about another AI that they knew that was on the network, and they think it's they're in that AI's body now, and the whole thing is supposed to be morally challenging. Like as you talk to the AIs, it's like I really shouldn't be wiping these drives. Like it's kind of wrong. But each of the 4 drives has kind of a distinct personality to it. The problem I ran into with it was as I was talking to them and swapping out the drives, when I put them back in, they'd sort of talk differently, and it kind of lost me at one point. So, whereas it seemed like at first I was trying to locate this one specific AI and tell the other drives what was going on with it, I'd put the other drives back in, and they'd suddenly be talking like they didn't really care or didn't really know anymore. There was one drive that claims that it's the uploaded conscious of a actual human being that was dying. It's interesting. It just kind of lost me at one point. I want to play it again and choose some different dialogue options. But basically, at some point, you get the option to either wipe the drives or not wipe the drives and try to claim that they're broken and hide them from your boss. I like the concept. I just it kind of lost me at one point on my first playthrough.
Is there any option to just do your job and you just wipe all 4 immediately and you're done?
You can, yeah. On your first pop those drives in, and you do get that option early. I didn't try that. I was tempted to on my first playthrough, just wipe them all and see what happens, but I didn't. So I want to go back and try some different stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was on localhost on itch.io.
Localhost, itch.io, and PC. I think it was like $5.
Wait, something costs money on that site?
Yeah, not everything's free there.
What?
Sometimes people do actual releases through it. I bought one other game through that site a couple months ago. It was just a puzzle platformer, but at least they're usually cheap.
I mean, charging money for your game is fine. It's just I didn't realize that website did that.
Yeah. Well, it's set up in I forget what the actual URL is for it, but I think it's set up where you get like kind of a custom URL off of it, and then you can charge for the game and whatnot. You can do it a bit different than the general release area.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds interesting. I'm trying. What was the Emily is Away?
Yeah, Emily
Like,
is
that's
Away.
Kind of what it reminds me of, or just like
just all dialogue and kind of picking responses, but picking your way through a conversation in a certain way. Like, yeah. But I felt like Emily's Way was a little more structured, and it seemed like the conversations were a little more planned out. But again, I want to play through this again and see what else I'm missing.
How long was the playthrough?
Well, I left it for a while, but it's like 20 minutes.
Oh, okay.
It really wasn't that long.
Okay.
And then, of course, the Destiny 2 PC beta, but I figure we'll talk about that in depth with one of you other guys that have been playing it.
I mean, we can just get into it now if you want.
Let's do it.
The rest of us have played it.
Well, the rest of us had finally played it on PC after John played it at E3 on PC.
The correct console.
Yeah, he already knew how good it was going to be. I was really excited for it, and I, as soon as I loaded in the first seconds of that first mission, like just I moved the mouse around, I took a couple of steps, and I was like, this is immediately better than any Destiny I played on the Xbox at all.
Yep.
It looks so much better. It's so much more fluid. Aiming, moving, shooting, everything is so much better with the mouse and keyboard.
As I put it yesterday, I feel like I'm doing way cooler Guardian shit. Like just running, gunning, floating, shooting midair.
Yep.
I mean, I'm sure there are people who can do that with a controller, but I sure couldn't do it.
No.
So it just feels better.
Yes. I was super good at getting stuck on walls in the environment with the controller, and this is way better.
Yep.
So we've the beta started yesterday. From the open beta was that yesterday, and it ends tomorrow, I think.
Closed beta was 2 days ago. Open beta yesterday, and it ends on the 31st, which is tomorrow.
Yep. And then we've got a month and a half until it comes. I forget how long until it comes out.
End of October.
It's October 24th or something like that.
Yep. And then
Same
that
day as everything
console
else.
release is going to just be sitting there.
Mm.
They're going to think about it.
So what I like about this is I saw a lot of articles when the console beta went live a month ago. A lot of articles, people saying, why am I going to wait for the PC version? This is stupid. Why wouldn't I just get it on PlayStation or Xbox?
Because it's way better.
Yeah, and now that it's out, like there's a whole string of articles that have come out, and they're like, oh, this poses a really bad dilemma, and I'm like, well, yeah, it's infinitely better on PC.
Yep. And I don't know what GPU you guys are running on.
No.
Do you want to talk about that, John? Do you want to tell us?
No,
about
I-
your sweet card.
I mean, that wasn't setting up for myself. That was a setup for
Well,
Corey's
bite.
like 970, or does he have a 980?
I thought it was a 980.
Okay.
And
He said his 980 runs everything on like the highest at 60 frames.
yeah, for 1080p.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
That's still good, though.
Um,
It's impressive.
Right. That's all I wanted to set up there, was just that this game seems to be optimized really well.
Yes.
I mean, I know a 980 is nothing to like scoff at. That was the top of the line in the 900 series, other
Yeah,
than
it's
the
still
TIs,
fairly decent.
But for a brand new game, you might not expect to be able to run,
Right.
60 FPS, 1080 with everything maxed.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I was just posing that out to you guys, asking what you had, if it was lower and how it was running.
No, I'm doing an i7 with the 1070. So
Okay.
and I can do max settings on 1080p, and it's fine.
Yeah, with the 1080, I can do 4K max settings. And it's fantastic. I can't really do that with a lot of games. At
That's a
least-
1080 not Ti?
Yeah, just flat 1080. So it kind of is like on the cusp of 4K capabilities.
And John, you're crushing it with 4K.
I am just wasted with my. So after playing it at E3 on the 1080 Ti, I was like, that's what I need. I need to play Destiny 2 on a 1080 Ti. And sure enough, as of like 2 weeks ago, I built a new machine and put a 1080 Ti in it because I went crazy. And it is now completely wasted on my like 7-year-old Asus 1080p 60 monitor. But it sure looks good on that. The only thing that, playing it on PC made me excited for Destiny 2 again. I got it when the console beta opened up, I played it, and I think I played through the story, played a couple rounds of multiplayer, and was like, yeah, okay. Like,
It was just more kind of. It felt very samey.
Yeah,
Actually,
it-
and Corey agreed. Like it felt kind of slower in comparison to Destiny 1 in a lot of ways.
yeah, I mean, it just felt, I was just like, okay, this feels like more Destiny on the console. But, and that was also where I made the realization that loot is very important in that game.
Yeah.
But it's just like,
Right.
yeah, I'm not working towards anything really. I just get one purple item that's basically the same as all my other purple items because the beta for Destiny 2 is currently locked that you're at 200 power and all of your items are 200 and that's it. So you can change your gear a little bit to be more basically more mobile or more defense. It changes the stats around a little bit, but that's about the only customization other than your class skills in the beta. And they locked it down to 2 out of the 3 of the classes.
Is it gonna launch with 3 subclasses? Because didn't Destiny 1 only launch with 2, and the third subclass came with one of the expansions? I thought. Am I wrong about
Yes.
that? I thought.
That was the case. You're right. I forgot
so I
about
wasn't
that.
sure if I
that
wasn't
was
sure
so
if Destiny 2
long
was gonna
ago
launch with it.
that I forgot about that. I think it was like the first DLC that came out.
That was
out of
when
the
I got
third
into
one.
it. Was the Taken King?
Yep. Because everyone was looking. It was like, there's a third spot here. So I assume another one's coming.
Right.
So yeah, I totally forgot that was a thing at some point. So yeah, I guess I shouldn't assume that there will be 3.
Well, not yet.
Because, shit, they might just hold off on that.
But yeah, the
I'm trying
loot
to-
thing, I feel like it's hard to judge the beta because a huge chunk of it is missing.
Right. And we had some friends who were also complaining about story and it doesn't explain anything. And but I'm like, it's a beta.
Is it-
like?
Is it because it's beta, or is Destiny 2 going to be meant for somebody who has knowledge of Destiny 1?
I think that's hard to say at this point. Like,
I don't. I think what we played is the actual intro to the game, so I don't think
could-
it's gonna give you a whole lot more just to start with. I'm not sure.
I feel like it gave you enough for any story to start. Like if you played a Call of Duty game, you might open up in the middle of something crazy and not know everything.
Right.
So
I
just
feel
like
like
a
if you played
cold
Destiny
open.
1, yeah, if you played Destiny 1, the events are a little more meaningful because they're familiar to you.
You're
As so-
disagreeing, Nanners?
Yeah, as someone that played Destiny 1, all you really need to know is the Guardians are the good guys and all the aliens are the bad guys, Kay. There you go.
And
That's the
shooty.
Yeah,
Yep.
just shoot everything that isn't a Guardian.
and because all of the skills and stuff are unlocked, I assume there's no like tooltips or things like that because you're not unlocking anything, so it's not showing anything to you.
Right.
It's just sort of assuming like this beta has to be an assumption of this is going to be a lot of Destiny 1 players and they just know what's going on already, really. Because
Are they doing the Grimoire cards again this time around? Any idea?
I
No
hope
idea.
not.
Yeah, I know not a lot of people like them.
it would be great to just have them in game if they're going to do them.
Yeah, really, not through the website.
Right. But I guess we'll see. So yeah, stinks. It's not coming out until the end of October.
Yeah, but
And
it's
it
worth the
comes
wait,
out
though.
in like next week for consoles. So
Yeah, it's going to be worth the wait for the PC. Unless you really want it on consoles and PC, then I mean, have fun. Go play it on consoles. But
I do feel like as soon as PC drops, like you'd never touch console again, though.
Oh yeah, definitely not. I mean, I already had that problem with Xbox One and PS4. It was just like I would like to play with like Nanners and Brady on PS4, but I've already spent so much time on the Xbox One, and then they rolled out new things. So it's like, all right, where am I going to do the new things? Probably the console where I have the most time already. So that became a constant problem. But Nanners, how about you? What have you been up to? In your giant list as usual.
Yeah, I played every game from the last 2 years, and then some that aren't even out yet.
Whoa.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know.
I don't think you can tell us about that.
I mean, Destiny 2 beta. Destiny 2 is not out yet. But
you're not talking about
Are we
something.
sure
Okay.
is that under NDA? Does anyone know that Destiny 2
No.
beta?
It's not.
is out
I'm
there?
pretty sure it's not.
Okay.
if it is, I really don't care. It's Destiny 1 with some new levels, so
Let's talk
It's
about
fine.
Destiny 1. This new level for Destiny 1.
This new expansion for Destiny 1.
yeah, pretty much.
Destiny 1.0 is finally here.
I don't even know which of these games to talk about this week. I spent a lot of time in a lot of games. Nier, I started playing. I'm probably going to save that until I'm done, which will probably be next week or next podcast at this point.
Okay, so in 2 weeks, you'll just be like, I can't talk about anything. You assholes need to just
Yeah.
go play it.
Yeah, I will say already, you guys should probably go play this. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
The game actually plays really well. I don't want to say surprised, because a few people had recommended it to me, but I am blown away with how good it actually feels.
Are you playing PlayStation or PC?
I'm playing on PC, although I had been streaming it, and I've been playing it with a Xbox One controller. So
Yeah, I thought I had heard controller is kind of the way to go for that
Yeah.
game.
mouse and keyboard seems like a nightmare.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I guess the game I'm going to talk about is West of Loathing. West of Loathing is a Western RPG by the makers of Kingdom of Loathing, and it is all kinds of fantastic. Kingdom of Loathing is a web-based RPG, and it has a really funny sense of humor, at least to me, a very funny sense of humor. You get classes like the Pastamancer. So I had like a ravioli attack that I could use.
Nice.
And like you, one of the places I remember going was like this haunted house, and one of the things that would attack you was like spoiled food in the kitchen. So like that's the level of humor you're dealing with. So going into this game, I had high expectations, and they had been met and then some. One of my favorite things that I found so far was instead of a graveyard, there was a Dave yard where everyone was just named Dave in it. And then when
Checks
I had
out.
I had to go find a character named Dave that had died, I knew right where to go. He was in the Dave yard. So yeah, that game is fantastic. The currency is meat for some reason.
Why not?
I think it must have been like that in Kingdom of Loathing as well. It's just like a generic steak is kind of the currency. You're trying to go west to like seek your fortune. So you get a horse and you ride out into the desert. There's all these different areas you can go to, and they're kind of like little instanced areas that are always the same. Some of them have random enemies spawning in, some don't. Some just have like quest stuff that you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just a lot of dumb fun. My horse has like googly eyes for some reason. That's the one I chose. Right now I am wearing, I think, just like a normal black cowboy hat, but I have a stinky pistol that does stink damage rather than normal damage. I think I'm using a skinning knife right now, which allows me to skin my prey. So like one of the things in the world is demonic cattle.
Mm-hmm.
So when I kill the demon cows, I will sometimes get like these demon hides that I guess I can sell for more meat. There was a super long quest that ended up, it seemed like it was leading to like, oh man, and then you'll find like their unclaimed treasure. And then the last part of the quest is like, nope, we took the treasure with us and we all lived great lives. Enjoy our story. And that was kind of the end of it. That was like a 15 or 20 minute thing, so I just thought that was pretty great. It is one of those games that has to be experienced. Describing it probably doesn't work. It's also all hand-drawn, and it's like stick figure art, and I think that just makes it very funny. Yeah, I can't recommend that game enough. I think it's like $10.
That's on Steam.
Yes, that is on Steam. I don't think it's anywhere else. It might be on GOG. I could see them selling it.
The original game you sent me to it. That's a web-based one.
Yes, the original one is free to play as well. The thing is, because it is free, it is also rather slow. So loading, sometimes a battle would take like 5 minutes because you'd click on something and then go do something else for a while and wait till the page loaded. This, because it is all offline, is actually as quick as you'd want it to be, and that really helps. So go get it so we can talk about it in a few months.
How do you know how long West of Loathing is?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I think I'm like 5-6 hours into it.
Okay.
Just about 5 at this point. I think there is a decent amount of the game to go to. I've been doing some of the side stuff just because it's so well written. But you know, if you mainline it, I think you could maybe get through it faster. The only thing is you might die faster. I don't know.
Okay.
So
That's usually a challenge for you, getting through the main game.
yeah.
I know you're pretty stuck on that with Nier.
Yeah, well, the problem with Nier is I actually lost the main quest thread, and I've spent an hour trying to find it.
Is there no
So-
good tracker for it?
There is for the most part. I've never had this happen before. I finished what I thought was a main story quest and expected like, oh, something will pop up soon. So I went and did some side stuff, and it's like, I have no idea where I'm actually supposed to go. I would actually really recommend doing the main story in that game. You unlock a few abilities that save you a ton of time, so worth it.
Sounds interesting. I'll have to check that out at some point.
Do it.
Yeah.
Brady, what have you been up to?
Playing some games.
What games?
Mostly the usuals at this point. It's
Yeah.
like PUBG, Destiny 2 we already talked about. Put in a bunch more time on Breath of the Wild since we last talked, I think. I got all 4 Divine Beasts, like 87 shrines. And I think about 32 total seeds.
Yep.
That's how little I care about those.
Only 800 some to go.
Yeah. But I'm trying to finish the Terrytown quest at this point. I don't know
Right.
if you guys did that side quest.
I did
Oh.
that
It
one.
involves
yeah.
a
I
lot
don't
of
remember.
wood.
It's the one where you help them build an entire town kind of off.
You have to find people that have a name with sun in it.
No, yeah. Because
I have
only,
no idea what you're talking about,
It-
so I apparently never found that town.
Well, you have to like help build it. Like you buy a house and then you can start the quest to make houses in a different place.
Oh,
I never bought
okay.
the house because it sounded pointless.
Yeah, I think it is. I have no idea what to do with the house. I have like
No,
some
yeah,
weapon
they-
holders or something.
Spoiler.
you can sleep in it too,
Nothing.
and that's about it. Yeah.
Yep. I know
Sleeping.
exactly what quest you're talking about. That's when I stopped playing.
I think I want to finish that and then probably just go right to the ending. I don't know if I'll do the other side quests I have.
I ended up collecting out all the shrines, so that's how I finished up.
Yeah.
I had a couple that did not work very well with emulation. So
Wait, you're emulating that?
no. So I probably will never be able to 100% them. So I have less drive to get more.
Okay.
Is it like is it like nothing loads in the level, or is it do you have to use motion control and that doesn't jive with the emulator?
One is both. It's a motion control level where none of the like floor or walls load. So like I think it's literally
Load.
impossible. I had a YouTube video up on my second monitor and I was trying to like
Mimic the actions.
it was way too hard. I just gave up in frustration.
Yeah.
And then on the flight to Mexico, I played some Trails of Cold Steel 2. That's more of the first one, which is good. Has some extra bells and whistles.
JRPG,
Oh yeah.
its finest.
Yep.
You're playing on the Vita.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the third one was announced for PS4 soon. It's going to release, but in Japan.
Hmm.
And then I think probably a year or so before it gets localized.
So after that, you're totally going to play Persona 5, right?
Yeah, probably in between 2 and 3. I'll have some time there.
You know, just a free 100 hours.
Yeah.
So I will ask Nanners and Aaron, too, how much did you play of Sonic Mania? Because I ended up picking it up and I played like maybe 2 hours and then haven't been back to it since.
That's about the same. Aaron
Okay.
actually very nicely got it for me. So my first Switch game was a Sega game.
You're
So
welcome.
perfect.
I ended up playing that before falling asleep in bed a lot too. So I actually have put several hours into it and have finished one full playthrough of all of the levels. I didn't get any Chaos Emeralds, so I'm going back and trying to get Chaos Emeralds so I can actually get the. Because spoiler alert, but this is what happens in every Sonic game. If you get to the end without the Chaos Emeralds, it basically tells you that try again. The sorry you're not a winner ending. So. Yeah, I'm working on that. But yeah, I have played all the way through all of the levels so far. I really enjoyed it, and like I was never a big Sonic fan. Back in the day, Sonic 1 and 2 are the only ones that I liked, and both of them reached a difficulty point for me where I couldn't get any further in the later stages. This one did not. It got very challenging, but it didn't get to that point where I was just like, this isn't fun anymore. I don't want to play anymore.
Yeah.
It's really well done. I'm really impressed with it.
The thing I had heard about that game, and I sort of agree with the thought, is that it plays like you remember a Sonic game.
Right. Which is important.
Right, because if you go back and play a Sonic game, boy, does it not play super great now.
This is the theme
But-
of this podcast.
Yeah.
It's not like
Yeah.
you remember.
You can
There you
never
go.
go home.
You have a title now, Kay. Write that down.
It's not like you remember.
You'll forget it.
It's just going to be Flat Earth. That's what she's going to call it.
Yeah.
The Earth is not like you remember. Anyway.
I feel like I should force myself to get through at least one playthrough of that. But my fear is now that I have Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle, that's not going to happen.
So you've been playing that today, right?
I got it today. I played a little bit after work, maybe about an hour to 2 hours, so I'm not super deep into it.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say that I didn't realize at the time when we played the E3 demo was it's not really random with its hits. Like, you know, in XCOM, it'll be like you have a 75% chance, but you can still miss that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just if they are in full cover, you don't hit them. If they are in half cover, they take it's like a 50%.
It's a little
hit
more
chance.
simplified than...
It's like a coin flip, or they take half damage. I'm not sure. It's 50%.
It's half damage, I think, if they're in partial cover, yeah.
Okay, so it's half damage, and then if you loop around or get a free shot on them, it's just a hit every time.
Right.
So it sort of removes that, and it's a much different tone than like the XCOM games where you're very concerned about all of your soldiers, and when they miss, it's like a huge deal because you were counting on them, and it's just.
Would you say that makes it a little more fun then, since it's not quite as, tense?
Sure.
Need some more time with it before you can
Yeah.
make that
Yeah.
call. Yeah.
I mean, I like the idea of it. I like that the tactical RPG aspect is still fun.
Yeah.
I kind of understand why people would complain about the controls, and I don't think it's a controls problem. To me, when you run around Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle, you have a little like rabbit Roomba thing that leads the party around, but from playing every Mario game ever, my eye goes to Mario.
Right.
And he's not the one in the lead, so I'm constantly like running incorrectly because I'm not controlling Mario, I'm controlling the little rabbit Roomba.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
So it's just like a weird
It's a minor thing. I mean,
it's a minor thing, and it's a weird thing because it's just like any other game, it would just be like, okay, this is normal, this is how it works. But because it's a Mario game and you're you're just trained to like, oh, okay, follow Mario around here. Because the one thing I was collecting coins and I noticed like I was slightly off with it. I'm like, oh shit, I'm not controlling Mario.
Wrong one. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I would say about the controls.
Yeah, I played it for maybe 20 minutes earlier, and the only thing that gets me on the controls is when it switches back to your turn and whatnot. Like it might go back to the last character you actually just used. I haven't gotten the hang of like the order it does that, and it shows you on screen like what to hit to switch to like attack or move and switch between characters. But I guess during the tutorial it doesn't like point them out, so like you have to look for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say I was extremely happy that the frame rate was way better than it was at E3. Like you remember, it was pretty choppy at E3, and out of the box here, it looks great. It plays great.
Well, I've only played it in handheld. I haven't put it on TV yet, so
Yeah, it's great on TV.
okay,
When
that's
you
good.
dock it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to play more of that. I will probably play most of it in handheld mode, but
Yeah, I mean,
still excited to play more.
it's the magic of the Switch. You
Yep.
can do that.
Destiny 2 beta, spent some time with PUBG. I think since we've talked about that, I got a chicken dinner finally.
Nice.
Solo?
Thanks to
Ooh.
Brady being good
Oh.
at the game. I think it was me, Brady, and Brian. And like I had no kills, Brian had one, and Brady had all of the kills. Won
That's
it
how
for
that
us.
game goes.
I think Aaron and we haven't gotten a chicken dinner yet, so we'll get
No, I
that.
haven't. See, what I've learned is the way you prevent Brady from getting all the kills is to kill him.
Oh yeah, he did get his first team kill recently.
Yeah.
That was
Ooh.
good.
Trying to catch
witnessed-
up to me, huh?
Sorry about that.
I witnessed that one. That was fantastic. Brady was in a firefight with another guy near a shack, and the firefight was over. Brady won. Aaron didn't know the firefight was over and came in guns blazing.
Suppressing fire.
I just hope you yelled America.
I should have.
And last weekend I finished up Pyre. So I will be doing a video for that soon and writing up a review that will be over on the Outer Haven at some point. So
Nice.
those things are incoming. I fucked up. We should have done a video for that like forever ago. I didn't realize there are multiple save slots because it gets to a certain point in that game where I'm like, shit, I don't want to record anything because it's going to give away a lot of this game. And it's like, I need to finish before we can record a video or do anything with it. But as I finished, it just puts you right back at like, it's one of those games where when you finish it, it puts you right at the end, but like, okay, now you can replay the ending again. And I was like, well, what? Like, how do I replay this game again? And that's what got me looking around, and I found there are multiple save slots, and it's my own dumb fault for not noticing that, but yeah. So anyway, I really liked Pyre. It is definitely not a game for everyone. It is very story heavy. You will be doing a lot of reading because the voice acting is all in a like made up language. And it is a lot of the like 3v3 like tactical sport game. And if you don't like that once, then there's some variations on that. It does become very tactical with different unit types and things like that. But if you don't like that core concept of that game, then you're not going to. I mean, maybe if you really dig the story, you can just set it down to easy and just the AI can be really dumb sometimes, but it'll ramp up. But that would get you through it. The story was very good. Supergiant is very good at fleshing out their worlds.
Yeah.
And shocker, the music's really good.
What?
I know, right?
Would have never expected.
I know. Yeah. Supergiant made a game with really good music. Weird. So, look for that stuff coming up soon. So, moving on to news. We went long on games, probably because we haven't talked about them in a month.
Yeah, well, That's also a problem for news because there's a bunch of news from the past couple of weeks.
There is.
I threw a ton of stuff in here, and the non-Nintendo stuff is at the bottom.
So I guess I forgot that we haven't talked about the SNES Classic. I think we talked about my Walmart one being canceled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the actual pre-order thing happened after we recorded the last.
Yeah, I was on vacation too, and all I could do was just laugh about it. Because I'm like, I'm on vacation. I don't give any fucks about this right now.
Same.
Yeah, I was texting you, but I knew like you're just gonna be like, yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I'm on the beach. I can't be bothered to care about not getting an SNES Classic right now. So do you want to run through the whole chain of events, Aaron, since you've summarized them pretty well?
I can do that real quick. So I was actually still awake when this happened, but for some reason Best Buy and Amazon put their pre-orders live overnight. Best Buy's went up around like 1:30 in the morning, and I caught it close to 2. Managed to get one, supposedly. It hasn't been canceled yet or otherwise like bounced, so I've got my fingers crossed I'm going to actually get to keep that pre-order. Amazon went up at like 4. Like I went to bed after Best Buy, woke up in the morning, and everybody was complaining that Amazon went up at 4 and nobody saw it, and that was sold out. So later in the day, Walmart had pre-orders that went live around 1. Target went up like a couple minutes after that. Both of those sold out in under 2 minutes. I could have sworn Walmart was under 1 minute. Like
Wow.
I tried to get one, had it in the cart. I couldn't even click hit checkout. Like they were gone before that. So those immediately went. And then GameStop sent out a text notification because you can sign up for those to people saying that their online listing was going to go live. And as soon as they did that, their website just broke. It just went down, and they ended up just putting up a maintenance page with a handy redirection to ThinkGeek to let you go buy crap over there while you're waiting for their site to be fixed. But then a little while after that, ThinkGeek actually put up a whole bunch of bundles. And if you remember with the NES Classics they got recently, they came up with these just ridiculous bundles where they just threw whatever toys and junk they could together with these bundles to make them, really expensive. They just did that right out of the gate with the SNES Classic. They didn't even offer it on its own at first. They just put together these pricey, terrible bundles. And those, I tried to get through the ordering process on one to see if I could, and I couldn't. So those immediately went anyway.
And those were on GameStop or ThinkGeek?
That was on ThinkGeek.
Okay.
GameStop was down until well after I got home from work. So that it was hours that it was down. But right around when the site went down and they sent out that text and whatnot, they also tweeted out that they were taking in-store pre-orders. That was about 1:15. I hopped in my car and I drove to my local GameStop. I got there at 1:25. 10 minutes later, I walk in the door and they told me they just sold their last pre-order. I'm like, really?
So they sold all one of them.
All one of them. Well, actually, when I got in there, the guy at the kid in front of me at the counter was the one purchasing the last one, I guess, and he was going on about how he couldn't get them online, blah blah blah. And he walks out, and I'm just like, "Do you have any more pre-orders?" And the clerk told me she just sold the last one. I'm just like, okay, whatever. So that was just a giant train wreck. That whole thing. And of course, people got super pissed off about it. Clearly, all of the retailers came back out and said, the pre-orders are done, but we're going to have plenty on the shelves on, when's it come out? The 29th, the 30th, or something like that of September.
Plenty. Just like they had plenty of pre-orders.
So that's the thing. Nintendo's already come out and said they're going to have significant stock, quote unquote. And I mean, I don't know what kind of an indicator these pre-orders really were as to how many they're going to have on the shelves, but it's going to be nuts on release day. Also, to follow up on this, Amazon apparently sent some of the people that managed to get a pre-order through their site notifications saying that they may miss the delivery date for that pre-order, but you're still going to get an SNES Classic. Just probably not on the release date. They didn't cancel pre-orders like Walmart did, but
No, they'll do that later.
Yeah, they'll do that later. I mean, the whole thing just a nightmare. That whole day was just Just one fail after another. It was impressive, actually.
Anyone who expected that to go any differently, I think, was fooling
Yeah, like we've been
themselves.
through this already.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Part of me really, really hopes that there actually will be like significant stock of this. You go to the stores and they're just going to have tons of them, enough to get through all the people who will run out and buy 20 of
Oh,
them, and then
Aaron.
there's still more. Part of me wants that to happen. I know it's not. I know it's not. But part of me really wants that to happen. So a whole bunch of people end up with 20 of them and can't sell them for a profit. I want that so bad.
They'd still sell them for profit somehow.
Mm.
The fact that the quantities are limited at all means they will be able to sell them at
Eventually.
price,
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah.
So scalpers always win.
Ugh,
It's
I hate
the
that.
moral of that story.
The story went out that day about people using the Tiding bot still to grab these pre-orders, which is some guys developed that lets you do unattended checkouts through online stores. So that's how people are grabbing these like immediately. That's why they're selling out that fast. So I hate it. I hate it.
I saw someone, and then it could have just been a Photoshop or a goof, but it had like 20 of them in a Best Buy cart, and it was like showed as a purchased order.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people are making a big deal of that. That could have been a Photoshop. I'm not sure if that was a hoax or not, but people got pissed on over that one, and I don't blame them.
That would be a really big oops if they forgot to set the like quantities limited to one, and someone bought 20 of them
Yeah.
on top of this already big nightmare.
There were some of the sites did that. Target site. I kept clicking, add to cart because I was trying to get one to go in, and it bounced back and said that you've got the maximum in there, and like it took forever to reload the cart. So some of the sites did have a limit on there, but
As they all should.
yeah.
But
So yeah, we'll see if I actually get one or not from Best Buy.
I guess the Nindies, Nintendo Indies showcase was today.
Such a bad name.
It is a bad name.
I like it. It's not terrible in my opinion. It's the Nindies. Come on. At least they're supporting independent.
They should have at
developers,
least kept the I capitalized. Nindies.
Oh,
would
I
be
see. So
Indies.
I see. Yeah.
Indies. Yeah. Anyway.
I want to
was there
sign
anything
off
that
now.
yeah.
Got a case
there
of the
anything that-
Nintendies.
Is there anything that stood out as really good that you're really excited about?
Well, they
Did
did show off the next Shovel Knight expansion, which will be the final one too. It's for King Knight's, campaign. So looking forward to that, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I know there are some things on there that were there stuff that's already out. Apparently there's a new version of Super Meat Boy coming out that's going to have like daily challenges and some other stuff to it, so that in theory you could play it forever.
Mm-hmm.
I see you've highlighted Wolverblade.
I was just looking up what that is.
Would you like to know more about Wolverblade?
I saw that at well, I wasn't with them at the time. Keith over at the Outer Haven saw it at PAX. I want to say it was a 2D side scroller of some sort. I missed it, and I missed it on the actual reel today. I should actually look that up. While that's happening, I'll mention a couple of things that I did watch. Polybridge is going there, but Polybridge is Polybridge. People do like that. Mulaka was a interesting looking third-person action-adventure game. Okay, so the world in this game is inspired by the real Sierra Tarahumara. I'm probably
Which
mispronouncing
game?
that.
Mulaka?
Yeah, Mulaka. It looks neat. It just looks like kind of a action-adventure-y. The main character, I saw morph into a couple different animals. One of them was a bird, so checkmate Assassin's Creed. So that looked neat.
So it's like Animorphs the game.
Maybe. Yono and the Celestial Elephants was a cute-looking little adventure puzzle game. It looked like it was kind of almost like a Captain Toadish kind of like puzzle game like that, and you play as a cute little baby elephant. It was pretty cool. Sausage Sports Club apparently is coming to the Switch. We were excited for that title.
Where it'll probably have a like shittier frame rate,
Yeah.
like overcooked.
No,
brutal.
I hope they fix that someday. And Morphe's Law I thought looked interesting. I remember seeing this in the past, being previewed somewhere, but that's the one where like you're these humanoid robots and it's an arena shooter, but when you shoot somebody else, where you hit them, that part of their body shrinks, and that part of where you hit them, that part of your body grows. So if you're like headshotting them, their head will shrink and your head will grow, and that changes, obviously the composition of your body, which will allow you to get into different parts of the map. Like there might be little tunnels. If you get shrunk real small, you can run through those. Apparently during the matches, like each team has, it's red versus blue, and each team has like a mascot mannequin that grows with how much damage you do to the other team, and whoever has the largest one at the end of the round wins. So that looked interesting. That's everything I remember being fairly interesting from that. Dragon Marked for Death is a 2D side-scrolling hack and slash from Inti Creates, who did was it Azure Striker Gunvolt, and they did the more recent Mega Man's 9 and 10. So
Hopefully they're good.
Yeah.
Switch needs games. I mean,
it does. It's getting them, but yeah.
They're getting their big titles, but then I feel like there's just like gaps where people are like, all right, what's the next one? I need something else. Like Splatoon 2 hit, and then it was like, okay, I played like a couple weeks of Splatoon, I need something else. And also Splatoon isn't a game that like, once you finish the single player mode, there's not a ton left to it.
Yeah, you just do the multiplayer. Well, that's why they keep having the Splatfest and whatnot, and try to keep you coming back, give you something to do. There are, weekly releases on the eShop of smaller indie titles and like Neo Geo games, but yeah, they don't get a whole lot of publicity, and they're not really what you're talking about, to tide people over between large releases.
No, I know they're there because I keep pulling up the shop and looking, and I'm just like, I don't want to play a Neo Geo game.
Right, yeah.
But Nintendo is also shutting down the Miiverse because, sure.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's going to affect a whole bunch of games, and it's interesting. I think most interesting for like Super Mario Maker, because that's a big part of that game is like being able to leave comments on courses and post stuff like that, and that's just going to be gone.
Yeah.
Like every game where they had that, where like a little speech bubble would pop up with the drawing or whatever, that's just going to be gone now. So goodbye to Miiverse.
Yeah. Mario Maker will still be good.
Yeah.
There was an ending to Half-Life 3? Or Half-Life 2, Episode 3?
Yeah. Did you guys get a chance to read that?
No, I didn't end up reading it.
I read
yet.
it, but like I haven't played through Half-Life 2, so it didn't really have a huge impact for me. But apparently for a lot of people, at least, this was some form of closure, since Episode 3 never got made, and then of course Half-Life 3 is never going to happen. But yeah, I guess Mark Laidlaw was was a writer who came up, I guess, at least with the basic story from the first game. And he made a blog post where the names were changed, but it also got posted to Pastebin with the proper names from the Half-Life series, and it basically just outlined what the plot of Half-Life 2 Episode 3 probably would have been, or at least what a possible plot for it would have been, and how that would have gone down. So that's at least interesting. A lot of people out there, that reactions were, between like relieved or, finally I can stop worrying about this, to of course angry, because the internet likes to get angry at everything.
Right.
I didn't actually understand what was happening when that Half-Life stuff came out. Like, some people linked things, and like I was like, what is this? And like, I don't know. It, the whole situation I did not think was very clear.
Yeah, it was just a hint at what the game could have
Yeah.
been.
Or
Yeah.
like I don't know. At first, it was almost came out like, is this a fanfic? Like what?
Well, he said he did writing it. It was even like kind of writing a fanfic, but yeah. Feel free to pick whatever you want to talk about if you do from any of the rest of these.
Yeah, I've heard rumblings about the YouTube demonetization.
I tried
'cause
to.
Gaming and I think wrestling got hit hard with it too. It was
Yeah.
considered not family friendly content, so a lot of wrestling YouTube channels.
Which is something near and dear to Battle Fuchsia's heart.
Wasn't that a problem for wrestling in the past, like in years past, like having trouble with advertisers?
Yeah, there's a reason WWE is TV PG now, and it's because they have their big deal with Mattel to make all the action figures, so to get the kids to watch, and yeah.
The YouTube thing, as far as I understand it, this has been going on since at least, I guess, April, is when they started doing like their big purge to try to demonetize videos that are not advertiser friendly, which I guess started as backlash from people realizing that ads were running on the front of racist and hate speech videos because the old algorithm didn't care. It just, slap ads on whatever.
Yeah. The options were, do you want ads or do you want to monetize this video? And if we don't match it with anything, then sure, you're good.
Yeah. So, however they've been, adjusting the algorithms, I guess the newest round of it has been recent, and that's been going after, the wrestling and the gaming videos. And the whole problem is the criteria for it's unclear. Nobody knows what's actually, not allowed, what's considered bad.
So saying fuck a lot means you probably can't monetize anymore.
Yeah. Right. Some people said it looked like maybe games that were at least rated T. If your video was about that, then you're probably going to get demonetized. But it's not consistent, so it's tough to tell. So yeah, there's been a lot of talk about YouTube continuing to be a viable platform for gaming channels and personalities who want to talk about games or do gaming related content. And where do you go from there if you're going to leave YouTube?
So I mean, I think there's an interesting discussion to be had that we're way over on time, so we're not going to have it right now.
No.
But just YouTube ads in general, I feel like I feel like at least around the gaming channels and things like that, it's been helpful, but it hasn't been a crutch for a lot of those channels now. I feel like Patreon has become more of a way that once you gain a following, you then get an ongoing subscription, and then it's just like, hey, I'm not going to throw ads at you to get money. It's just, if you like this content, I'll give you more content if you give so much money, and if you give even more, you'll get more content. And I think that's a really smart way to do it.
Yeah.
Because if you're hungry for someone's content, then and you want to see more of it, then I'll throw more money at them. That gives them more money, and they can do it
And deliver it directly to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the YouTube ads might have been the stepping stone between those two.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was a middle ground for a long time, and Patreon has sort of stepped up and taken that over. Rooster Teeth was one of the first companies I can remember, way back, Red versus Blue Season 1. If you were a subscriber, you got high-quality versions of the downloads.
Oh.
And, that was...
That was a big deal back then.
Yeah. And I think they went up a day early or something like that. But they were the first company I remember, the first one that I really got involved with, that I saw that subscriber model, and it just made sense, I think. And now there are companies who have like their premium subscriptions on their site. Other more independent people are just going through Patreon. And I just had the discussion that I said we weren't going to have. But anyway,
Good talk.
yep, it could go deeper, but
Yeah.
I am a fan of that model more than YouTube ads personally. And I am tempted to go back and just strip YouTube ads off most of our videos because
If they haven't been removed already.
yeah. Nanners, did you want to talk about this one at all, or do you know Vive trying to sell, or HTC is trying to sell Vive?
Yeah, there's been a rumor going around a while that HTC, which is really hurting for cash in a lot of ways, has been trying to unload the Vive division. There has been rumored interest from Google. Unfortunately, there's also been some rumored interest from Palmer Luckey. Given
pretty
his political stuff, I'm not thrilled by that idea. So I'm kind of hoping Google buys it, because Google actually bought up a bunch of small VR producers, so it would be neat. It would get them really far along too, which Google has a record of doing some dumb shit in the past, so actually reaching a goal by buying something would be kind of nice for once.
They don't be evil. They're not evil. They said not to be.
That's not their slogan anymore, though, is it? I thought they got rid of that.
Did they abandon that?
I think so.
I think it's
no.
Gmail is never out of beta. I think that's their slogan.
You will never fill your mailbox.
I've been out of the loop with them for a while. Is Glass pretty much dead? That was their AR thing, right?
It had gotten like a redesign at some point. It still like exists out there, but no one really talks about that. They actually just killed Project Tango recently, which is like their new AR thing where you had like 2 cameras and a phone, and it seemed really neat. So, and they just released a new AR thing to compete with Apple's. So who knows what the fuck they're doing?
And isn't Microsoft throwing their hat in the VR game now too? Didn't I see some headsets from them?
They're not doing hardware. Asus and HP are, but they're doing software.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
So the normal Microsoft route.
exactly. So not a terrible idea.
Yep.
We'll see.
All right. I'm going to say we end it there.
That works.
Sounds good.
So we've been Bottled Fuchsia. Thank you for joining us for this edition of the Bottled Fuchsia cast. You can find all of our content at bottledfuchsia.com, streams at twitch.tv/bottledfuchsia, and mixer.com/bottledfuchsia. I think Twitch is down today or was having problems,
I
so
heard about that, yeah.
get on that, Mixer. And then, people leaving YouTube, come on, Twitch, Mixer. Can we put videos there? Maybe we can. I don't know. My assumption is that one of those two will end up taking over if the YouTube stuff doesn't change.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like, they've already got an established game base, so. But for now, you can find videos and archives of the streams at youtube.com/bottledfuchsia, Facebook and Twitter at bottledfuchsia. I'm going to shill it either way, so whatever, after I bash them forever. Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you in 2 weeks.
See ya.
See ya.
See ya.
See ya.